Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Beltrunner by Sean O'Brien, narrated by James Fouhey. Chapter 1. Come on, show me the peas. It was becoming a liturgy. Collier hadn't even raised the cabin lights. He had programmed Sancho to let him sleep for all the good it had done him, but the glow from the console was more than enough to illuminate his craggy features. Rocinante was still executing her flyby of M1875, sending back telemetry to Collier and the Dulcinea in full 3D color. Sancho was doing his best to analyze the data, as he always did, but Collier knew better than to rely solely on the computer. He was looking for something he couldn't ever put into words, no matter how many Belters back in series had asked him to try. Not that he had been the center of any conversations for many years now. He had, at best, been a quaint curiosity some time ago, but now was an eccentric old man who was close to becoming a nuisance. There it is. Mark it and bring Rocinante back in, Sancho. Collier rewound the telemetry to the precise moment he had seen the signs and told Sancho to lock the coordinates. Coordinates locked in, Rocinante returning to her stable, Skipper. Sancho confirmed cheerfully. I'm always curious, boss. What did you see? Collier had never been able to explain the markings of a P vein on the surface. Indeed, he had been caught more than a few times, excavating what he was sure would be a strike, only to find nickel and iron. But he was not about to abandon his methods. Deep impact probes were far more reliable, but they were expensive consumables he simply couldn't afford. Rocinante was not equipped for laser mining, as many of the third-generation rockhounds were. All Collier had were his instincts and subjective experiences. And hope. Still, he made an attempt to explain his art to his computer. There is a fissure there, running from the top right to the bottom left. Do you see it? Sure. That's a heavy metal impact fissure. Bound to be some P in it, or at least nearby. How do you know it's an impact fissure? Couldn't it just be cleavage in the rock? Collier snorted. I know cleavage when I see it, Sancho. That's not it. Takes a man to tell the difference. What? Never mind. Rocinante back yet? Still on approach. I've got a good track. Her stable is ready. All lights green. Good. When she's tucked in, take us to M1875. Right over the fissure. How's the spin? Not too bad. Well under tolerance levels. Do you want to attach correctors? Collier shook his head. Not if I don't have to. Takes up fuel. I'll just go down myself, start cutting. Hover us 100 meters away, but don't deploy the canopy. What's your estimated time until hover? Rocinante should be tucked in about 90 minutes from now. Under standard procedure, it will take me about 2 hours to achieve stable hover over the coordinates. So 3.5 hours, Skipper. Great. Just enough time for a nap. Wake me when we get there. Or if there's a fire or something. If there's a fire, I'll just evacuate the oxygen. Sleep well, Skipper. Collier laughed at the computer's joke, glad at the machine's attitude. He had long dismissed the question of Sancho's self-awareness as immaterial and worthless. It pleased him that the almost hopelessly outdated computer had quirks and bugs, including possibly sentience. That ill-fated experiment was one of the few taboo subjects left in the system. Earth was rumored to still have hundreds of thousands of rogue Calibans who had blended into the background of the planet's artificial workforce. Perhaps some had left the planet to Luna, or even Mars. No one was certain. Collier suspected that someday Sancho's increasingly corrupted programming would reduce him to uselessness, but he dared not take him in for an overhaul. If he had achieved sentience, Collier would be held liable. He did not relish the idea of being ground up in the series bioconverter for fertilizer. And anyway, if Sancho were sentient, the computer would be killed as well in an overhaul. No, better to continue as he was, with a quirky, erratic computer who asked odd questions. Collier drifted off to sleep with a smile on his lips. New contact! Sancho's voice woke Collier instantly. Approaching at 23 meters per second relative velocity. Distance 345.6 kilometers and closing. What the hell? Who is it? Collier tore loose the sleep restraint and shoved off toward the control seat. Even as he maneuvered into his station, he was glancing at Sancho's readouts. One look told him all he needed to know. Configuration suggests a mining vessel. Highest probability. Ad Astra Corporation. Yeah. Collier heaved a sigh and squeezed his eyes shut for a moment, as though girding himself for what he knew must come next. Why didn't we see them from farther away? He asked irritably. They were in obstruction, Sancho said. Collier took a deep breath. No sense in blaming Sancho for that. So, the Ad Astra guys want a piece of this rock too, huh? Affirmative. I'd say they are making for the same rock we are. Collier studied Sancho's readout. The corporate mining ship would catch up to him in just over 4 hours at this velocity. They would get to the asteroid at about the same time. His eyes found Dulcinea's fuel supply indicator. Every liter of propellant he used to increase his own velocity meant a slower return to Ceres later, but it might be worth it to get to the asteroid first and claim it before the Corp could. Of course, there was no telling how fast the Corp was willing to go to beat him to it. Let's talk to them, Sancho. Sure thing, Skipper, Sancho said brightly. After a momentary pause, he said, Contact established. Comm ready when you are. Collier drew his breath and said, in what he hoped was a cocksure drawl, This is the Dulcinea to approaching corporate mining ship. Who are you, and what do you want with my rock? Your rock, huh? I don't think you're going to be able to make that stick, Call. His eyes half closed when he heard the voice. The sudden dryness in his mouth and slight stirring in his loins betrayed the conflict within him. Isa, he croaked. Corporate Captain Mitchell, Call. Been a while, hasn't it? There was no mistaking the casual venom in her voice. Even without a visual link, he could see her half-smirk and narrowed eyes. She always tried so hard to be serious and grim, but in rare moments of total honesty with him, she had revealed secret insecurities and fears that had made him love her all the more. For a time, at least. Yes, it has. And you still haven't answered me. What are you doing chasing my rock? For starters, Call, it's not your rock. I know you haven't filed a claim on it, and you certainly haven't begun excavation. As far as I'm concerned, this is still a free asteroid. And we're going to get there ahead of you. Isa's smugness was a shade too heavy. I've got plenty of Delta V in my tank still, Isa, he said, deliberately emphasizing her name rather than use her title. So unless you want to spend a lot of your corpse water, you should break off and look for another rock. Isa chuckled mirthlessly. Nice try, Call. You know we carry much more water than you. I can outrun you even from here, get to the rock ahead of you, set up the mine, and begin processing while you're still nursing those shit engines of yours. I'm surprised that Dulcet is still working, actually. Dulcinea. And she's never been better, he snapped. Isa knew very well how sensitive he was to comments about his ship. You try to keep up, Isa. I'm going to get to the rock first, and then you'll have to lay off. Don't waste your corpse water on a stupid race you can't win. Since when are you so worried about Ad Astra's profit margin? Since when are you? He knew it was a childish rejoinder, but it came so swiftly and easily he barely knew he was saying it. Isa sighed. You never did understand, Call. But after the last 6 years, I would have thought you would have come to the same realization I had. Nope, he said, too much petulance in his voice. He winced at his own tone. Silence from the other side, during which time Collier ached to ask Isa questions. Questions that he had never fully put away. Why had she left that morning 6 years ago? Her long letter, written on real paper, and left on his pillow in some old-fashioned gesture that angered him even more at the time. Had said much, but answered little. How many times in the past 6 years had he wished he had not spaced the letter? How many times had he wondered if he would ever find it again, floating in the belt? His masculine pride won out, and Isa spoke before he succumbed to the wounds of the past. Well, in any case, Call, this is the way it is now. I'm here, I have a corp behind me, and I will be able to get to the rock first. I'm only cruising now, but if I need to, I will fly by you like a missile and use an anchor on the rock to claim it. Ad Astra Corporation mining ship SCM-17. Out. Damn her. Damn her and her corporation. Even as he thought that, he couldn't help but feel pleased that she had risen to prominence so quickly. He had always admired her cool competence. That, and her quirky moments of vulnerability, had first fascinated, then excited him. Sancho's voice interrupted his thoughts. "Skipper, she's increased velocity. Relative velocity now 29 meters per second and increasing by 0.9 meters per second. She's not kidding. Didn't know corp ships were allowed to move that fast. I wonder what the performance is on the thrusters. She's going to have to flip brake before long," he mused aloud. Isa had been right on at least one score. He had to save a certain amount of propellant for the return to Ceres, and Dulcinea's thrust efficiency was not what it used to be. Sancho had warned him about micro-fractures in some of the thrust tubes weeks ago. If superheated exhaust expanded the cracks, he would not only lose the race to the rock, but have to limp back to Ceres at reduced speed. Damn it, he had to. Not only because he needed this strike, but also to show the corporation that a freelancer like he was could not be shoved aside so easily. Ad Astra could not treat him this way, like an obsolete relic of a past time. He didn't quite convince himself that the corporation was the target of his anger. "Sancho, go to 80% thrust, and inform me of any changes in thrust tube integrity. If we are holding steady, we'll go to 100%. 80% thrust, aye. Recalculating vector to target. Recalculation complete. Thrust in 10 seconds. Secure for approximately 1/8 G acceleration. 7, 6, 5. Pre-thrust de-icing complete. Tubes primed. 2, 1. 80%. Collier felt the gentle push into his chair as Dulcinea's engines labored. Sancho chimed in again. "Revised telemetry. Ad Astra vessel relative velocity now 44 meters per second, increasing by 0.2 meters per second. Time to asteroid estimated at 2 hours, 18 minutes. Collier examined the data and squinted. "Will we beat them?" "Impossible to say, Skipper. I don't know when she's going to flip and brake. That depends on how much thrust she's capable of, how much propellant her captain is willing to use, how—" "All right, skip it. When do we have to flip brake?" "At our current acceleration, assuming you want to brake at the same rate, we should flip in 41 minutes. "Any cracks in the thrust tubes?" Perhaps it was just his imagination, but Collier thought he heard fear in Sancho's voice. "Not yet. I can't say if they will crack or not." "Let's go to 100% thrust." "We'll be dangerously low on propellant when we get to the rock, Skipper. It'll mean a very low consumption return to Ceres." "We'll mine water from the rock. Go to 100. "Assuming there is any," Sancho muttered, and Collier couldn't help but smile at his computer's quirks. "Increasing thrust to 100%. Stand by for approximately 1/6 G. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 100%. The gentle weight increased almost imperceptibly. The sensation that he was lying on his back, looking up through the nose window, was a temporary illusion that he had little difficulty in dispelling. His years in space had trained his mind to ignore his inner ear. "Revised telemetry. Ad Astra vessel relative velocity 45 meters per second, decreasing very slowly. Under 0.1 meter per second per second. New estimated time to asteroid, 1 hour, 55 minutes. Flip brake in 22 minutes. "Still no way to tell if we will beat them?" Sancho sounded slightly exasperated. "No, Skipper. Too many unpredictable variables. I know what you mean. Collier nodded. I didn't mean... Skip it. No need to be apologetic. We've never really talked about women, have we, Sancho? No, Skipper. I don't know what I can add to any discussion of romance, but I still have a rather extensive pornography collection. Collier reddened. Never mind that. I thought I told you to always forget when I access that. You do, but I remember you telling me to forget it. We're not talking about this. It's a perfectly normal, even healthy... Sancho's voice went cold again as he interrupted. Revised telemetry. Ad Astra vessel has increased her rate of acceleration. Relative velocity now 43 meters per second, increasing by 0.2 meters per second. Shit. She's not giving up. Collier thought for a moment. Perhaps Isa was right. If she was willing to expend this much water to chase down the rock, he wasn't going to be able to match her. Her ship obviously could outperform his, and she was not being miserly with her fuel. How are the tubes holding? No increased damage so far, but the likelihood is that I won't be able to detect any cracks in time to shut down. If a tube cracks, we'll lose it. Can we go to 105% thrust? Sancho was slow in replying. Well, yes, but we won't gain much, and we may pass the fuel threshold. We may not have enough to return to Ceres without cold sleep protocol. I told you, we're going to mine water from the rock. Don't worry about fuel. If we go to 105, we run a greater risk of cracking a tube. It wasn't Collier's imagination. Sancho was clearly worried now. Okay, let me think. Sancho waited a beat, then said dryly, That doesn't fill me with confidence, Skipper. Can I suggest that maybe Captain Mitchell was right? We can't win this rock. I'll be damned if I'm going to let her take this from me. Recalculate time of arrival at the asteroid, assuming no flip brake maneuver. I don't... Just do it, Collier snapped. If we continue at our present rate of acceleration, we will reach the asteroid in 39 minutes, and we'll be shattered to very small particles when we do. Okay. Alter course so that we will execute a flyby at 500 meters distance from the asteroid. Are you sure about this, Skipper? I don't mean to challenge you, but this seems, well, crazy. You remember you told me 5 years, 10 months, and 23 days ago, terrestrial, if you ever tried to kill yourself, I was to stop. Yes, Sancho, I remember. I'm not going to kill myself or you. You're going to drop me off when you get near the rock. Okay. That still sounds like you're going to kill yourself, Skipper. I'll ride Rocinante and use its thrusters, plus my suit thrusters, to brake myself to a soft landing on the rock. You'll flip brake as soon as I leave the ship and start coming back for me. I'll be fine on the asteroid until you get back, and once I land on it, it'll be mine. Isa won't be able to claim it. Sancho was silent for a long while. Are you still there, Sancho? This would be a hell of a time for his erratic computer to finally give up the ghost. Yes, Skipper. May I make a suggestion? Sure. We don't need to get to the rock that far ahead of the Ad Astra vessel. We could still execute your plan, but not do it so late. Let me flip brake late. Still too late to hover above the rock, but late enough to beat the Ad Astra ship. You can leave the ship with Rocinante and get to the asteroid in time to beat the corpse ship, but not have so much velocity that you'll smash into it. I don't think Rocinante and your suit thrusters together can slow you down fast enough if Dulcinea is going as swiftly as she will be if I don't flip brake. Collier listened patiently, and had to admit to himself that Sancho had a better plan. He didn't relish the thought of getting to the rock first, but being a cloud of viscera when he did so. Okay, Sancho, we'll do it your way. Arrange the flip braking in such a way that our relative velocity to the rock will be 100 meters per second. That's slow enough for you? Skipper, I am working with a very complex formula here, with too many variables I don't know. For example, while I know the thrust for Rocinante and your suit, I don't know how efficiently you will be able to line up your vector. If you're not pretty fucking close to lined up, you won't brake fast enough. I can't... Collier cut off his computer with a laugh of genuine pleasure. Sancho, that's the first time I think I have ever heard you swear.
Well, damn it, this is the first time you've ever done something this batshit crazy.
Collier laughed again. I appreciate the sentiment, Sancho, I really do. Start your calculations as best you can. I'm going aft to get into my suit.
Okay. Can I back off the thrusters to 80% again? Now that we're trying this stunt, we don't need to be at 100.
Collier nodded. Sounds good. Go to 80%. Calculate the ejection point for me. Let me know when you have a time on that.
Aye, aye.
Collier swam out of the control chair and glided expertly toward the airlock suite. The patched but still quite serviceable vacuum suit hung limply in its frame, imitating the posture and demeanor of an old warrior who had seen too many battles and too few glories. Collier zipped it open and wiggled inside, noting that the abdomen was still very tight. He had resisted tailoring the suit to accommodate his belly, in the wan hope he would drop those 5 kilos one day, and indeed, the snugness of the midsection only served to remind him he needed to do more time in the series centrifuge. Otherwise, the suit fit quite well, and Collier allowed himself a few moments to enjoy the womb-like feeling of security the suit afforded him. Sancho, is Rocinante fueled and ready?
Affirmative, Skipper. She's topped off. You'll need to leave the ship in just under 12 minutes maximum. Sooner would be better than later.
Roger that, Sancho. I'm heading to the stable now. Open the bay doors and prepare Rocinante for Eva. Collier made his way along the cylindrical passageway that led to Dulcinea's belly, where the scout vehicle was kept. He was glad there was little time to waste. Had he been left to think about his scheme, he might decide it was insane and give up the rock to Isa.
Incoming message, Skipper.
Route it to my suit, Collier said, twisting behind him to seal the integrated helmet to his suit. He could hear Isa's tinny voice coming through the earphones as he sealed and locked the helmet in place.
There?
Call!
Please answer,
he heard when he had finished with the helmet. Isa's voice was not quite panicky but very concerned. Sorry, Isa, I missed the first part of your transmission. Say again. He made sure his voice was as casual as could be.
You're aware you've passed your flip break point? Are you in trouble? Has that bucket finally broken down?
Collier's smirk vanished. No, she hasn't, and yes, I'm very aware of what I'm doing. I told you, I'm not going to lose this rock. Not to you. Silence for a moment, then, look, Call, I think you're taking this too far. Whatever you think about how we ended, that's no reason to, no reason to do this. I'm sure you... Collier laughed, making no effort to disguise the scorn in his voice. I'm not killing myself, Isa. Recheck your telemetry on me. Dulcinea is going to miss the asteroid by 0.5 kilometer. Isa did not answer immediately. No doubt she was checking her tracking data. Okay, then, she growled, obviously annoyed at having revealed emotion to him. What the hell are you doing? I don't think you need to know that just yet. You'll see soon enough. But, he added, his charm vanishing suddenly, you won't win this rock. You may as well turn back now. I don't think you understand, Call, Isa said, her voice strangely calm and even tender. This isn't a game you can win. Ad Astra has a lot of resources behind me. I've been given quite a bit of latitude in operations to find and mine peas. You, alone, won't be enough of an obstacle to stop them. Them? Collier chuckled, then broke off as a thought occurred to him. Speaking of peas, why are you chasing this rock anyway? Do you know something about it? Never seen it before? Then how? Isa did not sound pleased. What do you think, Call? You think it's an accident we are both here at the same time? At his silence, Isa almost shouted, We're tracking you, you idiot! Collier stopped at the hatchway to Rocinante's stable. I see. You wait for me to find peas. Then you come get them. Is that it? Yes. But I'm not always right. How do you know I'm right now? I don't. Yet. I was going to send an impact probe toward the rock, see what we got. You don't use impacts, do you? I don't have 70,000 metals to waste every time I get a hunch, no. Yeah, well, the corp does. That's what I meant about resources, Call. She sighed. You see what I mean? You can't win this. I'm not operating on a shoestring like you. I don't have to watch every ounce of water, every erg of energy. I can be wasteful and thorough. You? Well, it's been nice chatting with you, Isa, but I've got a complicated thing here I gotta do, Collier said, surprised at the hurt in his voice. So if you don't mind, I'll be silent for a while, and I'd appreciate it if you could stay out of my way. Out. He bit down on the mic to end transmission, and almost violently opened the inner hatch to Rocinante's stable. Of course, Isa was following him. You should have guessed that as soon as she had appeared on Sancho's telemetry. Did he honestly think it had been some kind of chance meeting, out here in the nearly infinite emptiness? You sure did, he said to himself. You think you're some kind of hard-bitten realist, living on facts and figures with no room for dreams, but you're just as susceptible to romantic thinking as a lovelorn teenager. You like to think some weird expression of fate pulled you two back together, as if to tell you she had been wrong to leave you and now was coming back. Shit.
Ejection point in 6 minutes, Skipper. I really suggest you get going. If you wait too much longer,
I know, Sancho. I'm in the bay now, he said, opening the outer door to reveal the blackness of the belt. Rocinante was still attached to her hitching post, a collection of wires, cables, and fuel lines that held her securely to Dulcinea's hull. A sudden thrill shot through him. As far as he knew, this had never before been attempted, at least not at such velocity. The common mythology surrounding Belters, and shared by the rest of the system, was one of reckless heroism, a combination of pioneering spirit and unbalanced avarice that most closely resembled the ancient frontiersmen from Earth's North American settler movement. Or so Collier was led to believe from his scant and irregular contacts with Martians, Jovians, and the rare Earther. In fact, Belters were a remarkably conservative and cautious lot in their day-to-day lives. The act of becoming a Belter might be one of desperation, but in practice, Belters carved a very even, predictable, mundane course. Collier was an exception. "Ready to run through the checklist, Sancho?" he asked as he carefully mounted Rocinante, finding handholds and footholds among her various antennae.
What checklist? I've never even remotely examined this EVA for feasibility, much less designed to check.
Calm down. I'm only joking, Collier chuckled. Stand by to release hitching lines from Rocinante. Transfer her guidance controls to my mic, too, while you're at it.
Copy that. Comm line transferred. She's under your command, Skipper. Good luck.
Thanks. He gripped the two antennae tightly and made sure he was well away from Rocinante's exhaust vents. Let her rip, Sancho! He felt a slight tug upward as Rocinante's attitude thrusters gently pushed her down from Dulcinea's hull. Dulcinea appeared to shoot upward at a fairly rapid pace as the little scout left her. I'm away clean. Let me get a little distance before you fire up your thrusters again.
Copy that.
Rocinante, minus y-axis thrust 50%, continuous burn. On mark.
Acknowledged,
came the lifeless voice of the scout's dedicated computer. 3, 2, 1, mark! As soon as he said it, he felt a much more severe tug upward that threatened to dislodge him from the antenna. His right foot left its hold, and he fought panic as he repositioned it on another outcropping. Dulcinea raced away from him, and he had to remind himself that he wasn't falling through the void. The thrust couldn't have been much more than 1/10 of a G, but it was enough to force his brain to override the trap door feeling in his stomach. You've got some kick, girl.
Collier said when his breath returned.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?